Good afternoon. Today we are continuing on with Unit 4. We are doing CO24. I can find a new amount after an increase. So we start at one amount and we increase it. We pay a tip, we have a sales tax, we're increasing it for some reason. James, I want you listening to this one. We're starting the new one. Okay, so finding that new amount after an increase. Here are some more situations you may be familiar with having to do with percentages. So we do lots of different types of percentage work in our everyday life. So these might be some things that you might sound kind of familiar, give you an idea of what we're working with. Last week you ran 20 miles, and this week you plan to increase that distance by 15%. How many miles will you run this week? Or you buy an iPod off of eBay for $125 and will resell it with a 30% markup. How much are you asking for the iPod? Or your bowling score was 180 and your goal is to raise it by 45%. What score did you set as your goal? So these are all different types of reasons we would use percentages. As we saw in PO23, there is more than one way we can answer the questions above. Remember, in our last objective, we had 3 different ways we could answer stuff. Now we're going to look at different ways we can find these out. So finding the amount of the increase first. So let's look at our running. If we find the amount of the increase first, we would say we ran 15 we want to run 15% more. So we need to find out how much is 15% more of 20. So we need to know 15% of 20 equals what? 300. So what is 15% of 20? Like we did yesterday. So this is the math that we did yesterday. Audrey? It is 3. 15% of 20 is just 3. How did you find that, Audrey?
I did, 15 times 20 is 300. So I put the 300 over 100.
Yes.
And I divided it in a 100.
So Tatum, you were super close when you were saying 3. When you said 300, you forgot that 15% is over that 100. So you were very close. So if we know that we want to increase it by 3 more miles, that's 15% more, we have to finish answering our question. How many miles will you run this week if we increased it by that 15%, Aiden?
You add the 20 over first.
Yeah, so we know we're doing 20 miles plus 3 more miles. We want to do a total of 23 this week. So if you find that increase first, then you add it back on. The other way of doing it is finding the new total directly. So this way seems a little more complicated, but it's going to make sense. Remember yesterday when we went through it a couple of times, people are like, oh, I get it now. So when I explain it this first time and you go, wait, what? Just wait, because we've got 2 more we're going to go through, and it's going to start to make sense.
Is this just another way of doing it, or is it?
Yep, it's another way of finding it, but remember yesterday, it could be an easier way to find it once we understand it. So you could use finding the amount of the increase first, or we could do finding the new total directly. So to find that new total directly, we're going to use this little formula. We have the original amount times 100% plus the percent of that increase. So we're going to put our numbers into that formula. So our original was our 20 miles times 100% plus that percentage increase of 15%. So that means we're going to do 20 times 100% plus 15% is 115%, right? I just heard somebody say what? Are you following me so far, Evan? We had our original miles was 20 times 100% plus that percent increase. That percent increase was at 15%. Okay, so that's how we got the 115%. 100% plus the 15% gives us 115%. 115 is the same as saying 1.15, or you could work with the fraction. You could have that percentage as a fraction or as a decimal. So we can say 20 times 1.15 gets us 23. Is that correct? Okay, so we're just using that formula and we're plugging our numbers in. We plugged in the original amount. We plugged in adding that increase, and then we multiplied them. And we get the same answer. Aiden, what was that? 20 times 1.15. 115%. 115% as, 115% as a decimal is what? 1.15. That's the decimal. You can change your percentage into a decimal. So it's like you could also multiply it as a fraction. They all equal each other. Okay? So all I did was change my percentage to a decimal, and then I multiplied it because I know how to multiply my decimals. So if I were to do it the long way and say 1.15 times 20, 2 times 5 is 10, 2, 3, 2, 2 decimal points, I get my 23. So I did that math without working it out for you. That's the math that we did. 20 times 1.15 gets me the 23. And I got that 1.15 because that's what my percentage is as a decimal. Okay, so like I said, it's going to come a little bit easier as we work it out for our next one. So let's look at what that's going to look like. This time, we buy an iPod off of eBay for $125 and we resell it with a 30% markup. How much are you selling that iPod for? How much are you asking for it? So let's look at our first way, finding the amount of the increase first. So we increased it by 30% of 125. So what is 30% of 125? So you could do it as a fraction or as a decimal. You could say 30 hundredths times 125. So you multiply 30 times 125, divide it by 100. Or you could change that 30% into a decimal and times that. You can do 125 times the decimal. Emily. Yep, 37.5. So we're going to increase our price by $37.50. So we're going to add that to our original price of $125 plus $37.50 gives me a total of $162.50. $2.50. So we could do it finding the new total directly using that same formula we used the last time. The original price times 100% plus that percentage increase. So my original price was 125 times 100% plus that 30% increase. So that's saying 125 times 130%. What's another way of saying 130%? That's easy to work with. Gus?
1.3.
1.3. So I'm saying 125 times 1.3. So if we did the math, 125 times 1.3 is 15, 6, 7, 375. 1 times 5 is 5, 1 times 2 is 2, 1 times 1 is 1. And I get 162.5, which is $162.50. Same answer. So you can do it either way, you get the same answer. Just like yesterday's. Sometimes it's easier, you look at something, you go, oh, I need to find out how much I'm increasing, and then I add to it. Makes sense to me. Sometimes you want to say, here's my original, here's how much it's going up by, just multiply them together. So it's what works for you. So I want you to work on the last one on your own, the bowling. And let's see how we do. So use those whiteboards. Your bowling score was 180, and your goal is to raise it by 45%. What is your new goal? Yep. Well, they're both going to get you the same answer. So you could do both and see if you get the same answer. So put it on your whiteboard when you have an answer. Just the answer should be the same either way. So show me on your whiteboard what your answer is. That if our score was 180 and we want to increase it by 45%. So, do you have an answer for me yet, Thomas? The bowling one, that's what you should be doing right now, not being goofy with it. Yes. Yes, that makes more sense. Yes. All right. Some of us are done working. Some of us are still working it out. Yes. Who would like to come up and show us how to do it with finding the amount of increase first? Tatum. There we go. Good. So here's what Tatum did. First thing I'm going to say though is be careful. We always want to start with percentage of the number. So flip it around. We're multiplying though. So when you multiply, it's okay. It's going to come into play when we have to divide. So make sure we put percentage of your number. You did the math. You multiplied that 180 times 45 and you got 8,100. He knew that it was a percentage, so he had to divide off that 100. Another way you could have done that, Tatum, is you could have said 0.45, put your point in there, and then you wouldn't have to worry about the fraction. Both of the ways work. So he got the 81. He wanted to increase it by 81 points. Then he knew he had to go back and add it onto the original score. We started at 180. We want to add on 81 more points. So he got 261 as his total. Who can show us finding the new total directly? And let's see if we get the same score. Gus, come on up. Yeah, you might not want to do it quite so big. So he knew the original score was 180. Multiply that by the 100% plus that percentage increase of 45% gave us 145%. So 180 times 145 is the same as 1.45. Because we can't multiply the percentage, we have to convert it to either a decimal or a fraction. So when he did 180 times 1.45, he's going to work that out for us. And we are going to see if we get that 261. Yeah, I'm a good narrator.
I don't need like an addition sign.
That's okay. He knows what he's doing.
I just ran out of
Now you just got them all confused. So you were at 4 times 0 was 0, so now 4 times 8. Yep. One times 0 yet. Nope.
and then that equals.
Yep, so we're running out of room here, but we can see if we could add it all together. Zeros equals our 0. Zeros equals our 0. 9 plus 2 is 1. 1 plus 7 plus 8 is 16. 1 plus 2 is 261. We had 2 decimal points in our problem, so there's 2 decimal points in our answer, and we got the same answer, 261. So either way, we get the same answer of 261 points. Thank you to my friends who are following along and paying attention. This can get complicated as we go through these. So I really need us paying attention. Let's look at what else we are doing in this objective. Let me scroll. Using one of the methods above, you're going to answer each question. Use a sales tax of 7%. So if we're doing a sales tax of 7%, what's my decimal?
What's that? 0.07.
So I heard some people say 0.7 and some people say 0.07. Remember, 7%, because 7% is 700, so we need that 7 in the hundredth spot. So if you're converting it to a decimal, it's 0.07. So the 7 is in the hundredth spot. If we said 0.7, that would be 7/10, not 700. So we want to make sure we're using the correct amount. You purchase a calendar for $12 and pay with a $20 bill. How much is your change? So you need to remember to factor in that sales increase of 7%. How much did you pay for the calendar? You're not just paying $12. I get $8 back. Oh no, friends, we're into the more complicated adulting world. We need to factor in sales tax. Yeah. This is what we do when we go to the store. We don't just add up the price tags and say that's how much I'm gonna pay. You have to factor in a 7% sales tax. So it bumps it up.
They have the cash register.
Yeah, at the store they have the cash register, but if you have a $20 bill in your pocket and you want to spend as much as you can to get all that good candy, because if you're like my Gianna, she loves her candy, she can't go over $20 because she only has a $20 bill. She doesn't want to get a bunch of change back. She wants her candy, candy, candy. You need to try to figure out that sales tax on your own so you know just how much you can spend. So you start with $12, you increase it by that 7%, then you're gonna give $20, how much do you get back? So it's another step beyond what we were just doing. That $12, 7% increase, we just did. We know how to do that. Now we're adding in, subtract it from the $20. So it's just another step. It's not complicated. It's not anything more than what we know how to do. It's just an added step to answer your question. You purchase a mango skin belt for $19.50, 2 packs of batteries for $4.50 each, and a phone case for $3.75. You pay with a $50 bill. How much is your change? Factoring in a 7% sales tax. So now there's one more step. We need to add up all the things that we're buying. Is that complicated? No. Is it an extra step? Yep. So when we're doing math, sometimes it's just added steps. Don't get overcomplicated by it. We need to know what the total is of what we're spending, then increase it by our 7%. We know how to do that. Then we're going to subtract it this time from a $50 bill. But I'm going to point something out that I've seen on Mr. Schultz's test. I've seen it on the math test. Things that we need to remember. When they say 2 of something that costs this much, what do we have to do? Am I just adding in one $4.50? No, I have to add in 2 $4.50. So make sure you're totaling up your amount correctly. So now, I know people are really wanting to work on those 2 problems. I see people working away. Pencils down. Turn your page. We need to understand what we're doing on our second page. So pencils are down. Okay. Thank you. Pencils are down. Below is a nightly report for a waitress at a local restaurant. Calculate each customer's bill after the tip has been added. So over here we have their original amount. This is the percent of increase. This is your new amount. That's what we were just doing. It looks different. It's the same math. When they say initial bill, that's your original amount. This is the percent increase.
Are we allowed to use our calculators?
I'm gonna look it up to see if you can use a calculator on the test. I'm not sure if you can. I'm gonna look it up. I'm not gonna answer that at this moment. So, to fill out this table, it's the same thing. Then you have to find the new amount, doing those increases. Show your work. So are we using our calculator on this section? No. Show your work. Means you write it all out. Since our culture likes to eat at restaurants, chances are you'll find yourself eating at one and paying for the bill at some point in your life. So we'll use that example again. Your initial bill is $36.45, 7% taxes added, and then you add a 17% tip to the total amount after tax is added. What is the final cost of the meal? So just take it one step at a time. Your initial, that's your original amount, 7% increase from that. Now we have a new original amount that we want to do a 17% increase of. So just go one step at a time. And then we have our review questions at the bottom. So aside from the calculator question, are there any other questions about our work today? Okay, for my friends watching at home, we hope you are well, and we hope to see you soon. Have a wonderful day.